Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studios. With me this morning is Leslie Mathews. She is running for the supervisor in the South River District. Welcome, Leslie. I appreciate you coming in and talking to us. We're trying to get all the candidates in. We've had Robert came in a week or so ago, and we talked to him and Cheryl. So, for a couple of years, I talked to Linda Glavish. I can't get anybody to run. I don't want to run anymore. And all of a sudden, now we got three. So tell us about a little bit about Leslie and why she wants to be our supervisor from South River.
Okay. I'm Leslie Mathews, and I am a lifelong citizen here in Warren County. And the reason I am running for the South River District Supervisor seat is because I feel that Warren County is lacking leadership. And I feel called to step up. One of my favorite quotes is the Edmund Burke quote, that all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
Exactly.
And I love that quote, and I know that President John F. Kennedy used that in his 1961 speech, although I wasn't here in 1961. I love history, and I know that he quoted that, and I love that quote, and I stand on that quote. If we sit back and we do nothing, then what's going to happen to all of us?
Right. Well, I agree with that. It's true. We've got to step up. And, I think just the fact, of course, I've ran for some positions, and I've helped a lot of people run for positions. And, it's an experience.
Yeah.
Win or lose, it has an effect on what goes on in our community.
Yeah.
I think the fact that people step up to the game. I've seen you at several board meetings, and you spoke up on some things. Mm-hmm. And I think here lately, as you well know, our citizenry has been speaking up.
Yes, and I'm glad to see that. People need to speak up. People need to stand up for what's good and just for our whole community.
Well, South River is a little different than some of our other districts.
Yeah.
It's more of what Warren County used to be.
Yeah.
It's still the last, little bit of our agricultural
Yes.
and farming.
You want to hang on to that.
You want to hang on to
Yes,
that.
we
So
do.
tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you think are lacking now in the board.
Well, my main concern is with the leadership, that when you do confront them with some issues that are of major concern here, it's as if they don't hear what you're saying. And
Like Zoom, right?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't get that. When people do speak up, then I think that leaders should take a very strong position and try to take in all that they can and do their very best to help.
Right.
With what the citizens are addressing. Me personally, I am a leader, and I want to embrace this South River District Supervisor seat with a high level of integrity for every citizen that I represent and all the citizens in this county.
Years ago in some of the rural areas, you show up at the coffee shop and that's where you find out what's going on, and it's like, I've done it for years. I've stressed with them. I said, I've talked to many of the people. I said, you need to have at least run a column in the paper and tell us what's going on or what you did or what we should be doing, and try to engage people into in what you're doing. When you're elected, you just don't have all the answers. People don't expect you to just do everything.
Right.
They expect you to listen to them, and I think that's lacking, not just here, but I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think we have tried. We've got them to. We did bend the Board of Supervisors to allow more public speaking time, which was
that was back in January. That was major.
That was a major.
That
People
was
don't
major.
realize.
Our code 56.3.
I noticed you know the code.
Yes, I do, because I stood up for that. I was like, what? They're going to try to change this code that's been in effect. It's worked. That's what we could stand on. I mean, don't take that away. And
Right.
I don't know if you were there that night,
Sure.
but I
Our
did get up
cameras
and
were there.
speak. I spoke against that. And I'm just thankful there was a lot. I think there was like 20 other people or so
Sure.
that did the same thing. And I was just glad to see that. I didn't know there was going to be that many, but that's important. People need to be heard, and people need to be able to speak and get out what is needed to be gotten out.
I was really surprised that the supervisors bent it completely the other direction and went to allowing way more time than really what and
Well,
which
I
is good.
kinda
I think they
think-
realized. I
Yes,
think they did
at
realize.
that meeting, I think they realized, and I think it was Mr. Carter who put that out there to change, and I
Right.
don't think he was thinking very clearly when he did that, and then it kind of came back into reality from what I perceive.
Sure.
That
I had a
they
conversation.
said,
Yeah, I had a conversation with Mr. Carter, and I believe what he said. He said he was trying to make it better, but then when we ended up going at the end, he indicated that he was pleased with how it turned out,
Yeah.
and that's what he wants. I mean,
Right.
I think most people, let's just go say all people on the board really do want to do what's right.
I think so.
And it's a hard job, and let's give them some credit. I hate to just bash
Right.
all the time on, because I've been on both sides before, and I know that it's real easy to be an armchair quarterback, right? I mean,
I'm sure, yeah.
and so let's give them a little credit. But
Yes.
but I think it's time to freshen up the leadership maybe a little
I
bit.
think so.
I call it the broom party, and I say that jokingly, but the way things are going, it's like if you're an incumbent, you're going to be swept out.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens from time to time through our history.
It does. And even the fact that if I get in there's going to come a time that the broom's going to have to sweep me on out.
That's right.
I
tell
it's,
people
it's just, that is like that. People have to keep moving, and then we have to keep others coming in for new ideas and there needs to be strong leadership at all time.
Right.
And not saying that we have real weak, I wasn't meaning that. I just say we're lacking, okay? So I didn't give a level. We're lacking. I feel like it's time for me to stand up, and I will take on that leadership role. I am a leader. I'm a strong leader. And I will always strive to do what's just and right for all the people.
Well, that's it.
So-
Listening is, I always say we got two ears and one mouth. We need to be listening twice as much as we talk.
Yes.
People accuse me, though, of the opposite. I talk too much. They said, you're not letting those people in your interview talk. You're doing all the talking. I said, well, I'm just trying to have a conversation and just dragging out the details. So we're going to get to those details here in a few minutes, but I'm sure we are. But I did hear a good quote this morning. I was listening to the talk radio, and I think Glenn Beck show or something. Occasionally I listen to that. And he just said, if we're not growing and our views aren't changing, we're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to be, as people, we need to always be growing and learning, every
yes.
something day. And our views do change. As we gain more information, the views change. And I think that's what the public, as citizens, we need to realize, that we don't have all the information.
Right.
And what they read on the Royal Examiner or the other local media, which is how they refer to us. So we'll say the Northern Virginia Daily. Those are our two basic news sources that we have.
Right.
On television, you get 5 seconds of news, but everything we don't have all that information. We just don't really know. And so, we have to be out there looking and searching and trying to stay on top of things, because, things do need to change. Some of the things that have been brought up, for the county, we have a fire station in South River. Tell me, what do you think about that?
Well, it's not really. Oh, you mean the ours
Riverton.
The Riverton.
Riverton.
That's going to be in the Fork District.
Oh, well, that's so close.
That's close.
But that's what and I apologize. But see, I
That's
don't
all right.
even know what goes on in South River. I just know it's south of town. Yeah?
Yep.
And it's kind of divided.
That's the best
You got that sliver that kind of runs to the east,
Yes.
and then the fork is to the
It's
right.
our mountain ridge that kind of divides.
340, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
much?
it's 340, and then South River runs on that 522 side.
Right.
So you've got our mountain ridge that runs in between.
The Mountaineers, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's that little sliver through there. But so we're going to be building more buildings. I mean, we built,
Yes.
$10 million police stations, and
Yeah.
how many millions we spend on the sheriff's department, and we've got, how much did we spend on a lot of schools and remodel? We spent a lot of money. Now, that money is not free. So let's talk about how we're going to get where's that money going to come from?
Well, where has it been coming from?
Same place it's going to
The
come.
people.
That's where it's going to come
The
from.
people, yes. Yeah, and once I get in the seat, I cannot undo what's been done. But my goal is, because I have a very high interest in this county's budget, is to get in that budget and pick that thing apart line by line. I think that the Board of Supervisors should be more involved at that very beginning. when our county administrator sends out those emails or memos, whatever, for each department to start collecting what their submittals will be, I think that's then and there that board needs to be on it. We need to be on it, checking out everything, every detail of it, and we need to consider, okay, is this a must or is this a want? Because we've got to keep our people, we've got to take care of them.
Right.
We can't just spend every dime that they make. And more people, I mean, this is, yes, always been a commuting place because I've lived here all my life. I've commuted to many, many years to the city. And it takes a lot of time to get to your job and a lot of time to get home from your job. So where are you having much family time? And then when things keep increasing and the county keeps spending and spending, then that's less time that our families get to be together. And that's important too for our communities.
It is.
So right now, with the money already spent and what they've said this year that they've allotted money for, like I said, I can't rewind, but I can move forward and try to get in and see where we can cut things to kind of keep things leveled out.
Well, once you get into contracts and notes and employees and retirement, that doesn't leave much left of the budget that's really what you would call a discretionary budget. I know the town, has got a $40 million budget, but really only about $10 million of it is what I would call that you can have any control over. So you already have to come up with a large number, and the county's even bigger than that,
Right.
much bigger than that. So, and you wonder about it. We watched, our cameras, Mark there took the camera to these budget hearings this year.
Right.
First time that I think people had an opportunity to set in on the budget hearing. And it kind of surprised me when they called in all the different department heads and the things that they did. It was like a 15-minute interview.
It's like a 10-minute little business thing.
Yeah. Oh, well,
here
what's
you
different?
go.
And it goes back to, well, what's different that you added? Why is it
Yeah.
this? It wasn't a zero-based budgeting, like you start from scratch every year. It's just like, how much less or more do you need than last year?
Exactly.
What do you think of that?
I thought that was, I'm thankful that you guys put that out because it gave all of us an idea of what really does go on, and that's why I said the board needs to be involved from the very beginning. When these submittals start coming in, that's where we can nip it, and I think the budget could be completed by March rather than keeping us drug on out. Well, the reason it is because I don't kind of understand that either. How an administrator can sit behind a desk for 12 months and then all of a sudden we're $5.6 million in the hole when you're supposed to be paying attention to your budget month by month. I want to know the revenue that comes into this county month by month. I want to know the expenses that go out of this county month by month. If you stay on top of that month by month, we're not going to have this big old mess come budget time. We're going to pretty much know where we're going to stand.
Well, it seemed to me that you would run, all you have is just more zeros than you'd have on your home budget, but you don't spend more than you make.
Exactly. Well, you shouldn't.
When you do, what happens?
Yeah, what happens?
You're in big trouble.
Yes,
and I don't
we
think
are.
our government's any different than that.
No, I agree.
How about community involvement and community events? Of course, the town closes the streets down. You don't have much control over that because that's in the town. But, there's activities around our community. Do you have any insight on how you would like that you could draw more traffic? So let's say the South River. You live down there in that Browntown area, and that's a community.
Yeah, I live more closer to Bentonville now.
Is that
my
10
husband
feet?
came from
Is
Bentonville.
Is that 10 feet?
About 5 miles.
You could
But
spit
anyway.
that far.
Well, the Browntown Community Center always has things going on.
They are very
which is
active
nice.
in the community.
Yes.
South River's got that community farm hand help everybody attitude. Even when them city
Pretty much,
folks come out here, they acclimate to that community really fast.
Right. And then Bentonville has the river. So we've got all of that.
We got location.
Yeah.
Why aren't we getting these jobs and businesses and things coming? Because that's going to bring us to the topic of the EDA, which I know is dear to your heart. So, it's all about, we have the location, we got the river, we got the highways, we got the railroad,
mountains.
we got the mountains, we got, what we don't have is we don't have housing and we don't have jobs. And you can't get the jobs if you don't have one thing, and we fix our schools, we fixed our transportation. So where do you sit on that? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Uh-huh. Well, where I sit on that, I'm first going to say with our EDA, because that plays a big role in how our community moves forward.
Exactly.
I'm going to rewind a little bit, Mr. McCool. Everything right now, our issues at hand are all being focused on our EDA. But I'm going to say, from my opinion, it just doesn't fall on our EDA. It trickles down throughout this county. In different departments, different areas that operate this county, it doesn't just, that EDA is getting the blow on it all. But I don't believe that they're all fully responsible. Now, I too feel
It's a bigger picture.
it's a big picture here. And I'm going to be very careful because people, will slam you for sometimes your own opinion on stuff. And I'm a very truthful person, and I usually speak straight on the line. And sometimes that gets me in trouble.
Yes.
But anyway, I believe that Warren County cannot move forward, not even an inch. We should not even attempt to until we have all this cleaned up. That's my personal opinion, okay? We have to know where our community stands. We've got to know what we have still left with,
Right.
within us. How can you just pretend that this big issue is going to just work itself out little by little while we're going to keep on spending and we're going to keep on moving? You don't do that. That's not even wise. So, my thoughts are on this EDA, on how we can get more businesses and attractions into our area, is first we got to get on track. Got to get on track. Then we're going to have to build our trust
Relationships build around with trust.
Yes, you got to build your trust and say, hey, these businesses are not going to want to come into Front Royal and want to invest millions of dollars when they don't have a stable community to invest in. Stability has got to be a number one thing here. And that's where I kind of stand with all of this. And I think once we can get there and we can build our businesses up here and build some more jobs for our local people, then that is where we're going to start bringing in more revenue to take off the tax burden off of us. Because then we can have money to put into our roads. We can have money to put into our schools to keep our schools up to par.
Sure.
But you can't keep taxing your people like this. I'll just tell you this. I had an experience while I was out to get names on my petitions.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of saddened me. I was back in the Browntown area, back in the mountainous area. And I was going door to door. And I knocked on this one door, and this gentleman came, and I explained to him who I was, glad to meet him. And he says, I can't wait to get out of here. He lives in the most beautiful part. Browntown's the most beautiful part of this county. There's no, and maybe I am a little biased, but it is the absolute most beautiful section. I love the south end of this county. But for him to say that to me, I said, sir, can you tell me why? He said, because the whole place is crooked. He said, I came here from the city, had my home built here, and now I can't wait to get out of here. As a person that's lived here all of my life, that saddened me. And I told him I was very sorry to hear that, but I had hoped to get in and do some change for all of us to benefit.
I've heard that sentiment.
Yes,
by
it
a
just
few
was
people.
like, oh. But see, this is my home place. This is where my husband and I both were born the same day here, War Memorial Hospital.
Same day.
Same day.
Oh, well, he didn't waste any time,
No,
did
he
he?
didn't. No, he said I robbed him. But anyway, because I came 2 hours and 2 minutes
Oh, you were
earlier.
early,
Yeah.
yes.
So anyway.
And you're not. It seems like you know that right. 2 hours, 2 minutes.
2 hours, 2
She's
minutes.
got it right down to the
yeah.
second. So
Yeah, I'm the boss here.
that's
yeah.
right.
So anyway, we came the same day. So when you're born and you're raised in a community, and it's beautiful here. The place is absolutely beautiful. We have one of the most prettiest spots on the map. But when it's run corruptly, and it's not run in a stable fashion, what do we have?
well, this didn't happen overnight.
No, 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 no.
And so it goes
No,
back
it's been building.
over a long term.
Yes.
And I wanted to mention earlier, I said we talk about term limits. We want to have term limits. Well, we do have term limits. It's in the voting booth. But we keep electing these same people. This is not just local. This goes all the way to the national level.
Right.
We keep, you wonder who elects these people? When you hear the stuff that comes out of their mouth, you wonder do people really vote for these people? Yes, because they're there for 30 years and 20 years, and it goes on and on. And I think our founding fathers really realized that, and I think it boils down to our local level. You come in, you do your thing, and then it's time to move on and let someone else do it. For someone to stay there for 10 and 20 and 30 years, even on a local level, you can't get any growth. Now, some people do grow, but other people don't grow, and they're in the same they were 30 years ago.
I think it depends on what your people want, too. Do they want Front Royal to be like Manassas? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think we do. I know I don't. I'll just be plain as day. But I do want opportunities here. I do want to make it better, but I don't want to get that big,
Right.
But I think, too, the people who were before that were running this county, and it wasn't a bad thing at times, to have some in there for long periods of time, because they kept things like the people wanted it, pretty much, and they kept things operated decently. But now we've grown. There's different people. There's different ideas. We need to work with all, the whole group of people, not just.
We got to listen to our constituents.
We sure do. And I'm all for. I've heard people say, the board of supervisors, you should have 2 terms, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's just like the president. I don't have any problem with that.
That's 8 years.
It's 8 years. That's a lot of years.
It's a lot of time. And
it's a lot of years, yeah.
It's not just, running on the board is more than just, going to 2 meetings a month. A lot more than that, and it does take a lot. And I don't think really some people don't. If you could walk a mile in a man's shoes, you would know. But you would just shadow some of these people, and some just barely go to the meetings, and others are really working it. They have the time to put into it. That's what it does. It takes time, and
it takes time. But I think time to me too is diligence, and it is hard work. You can have people, and there's people that sit on boards. I'm not going to talk particular about our board, but there's people that sit on boards that have all the time in the world. But what are they doing to move forward? You got to think of time to some people is diligence. It's perseverance.
Sure.
It's doing what you need to get done. Whether you have 24 hours that day to do it or 1 hour to do it.
That's right.
You get it done.
Get it done.
And that's the way I look at it.
That's going to be your middle name? Leslie, get it done, Matthews. You're like Mad Dog Matthews.
That's kind of my personality.
Well, you got a whole long list here of stuff. What have we left off?
This was just my pointers here.
Well, what did we leave? We must have left something off.
You didn't ask me about my slogan. Did you see Did you see my sign with my slogan?
I couldn't miss it. That's the biggest thing going. You can't get it. You can't enter. Now entering South River District, and it says, Leslie Mathews for Board of Supervisors. So talk about your slogan.
Okay, I chose my slogan, my campaign slogan, to be, together we can get Warren County back on track. When I say together, that's a strong word. That means the citizens of this county and I, let's work together to get this county back on track.
So give us some of your ideas of togetherness.
Okay, well, I think we have a large group of very good and intelligent people out there. I have heard during board meetings, people get up, offer their assistance to this county. We got CPAs that said, hey, I would love to help you with this.
Sure.
I would love, and I'm like sitting back here saying, thank you, God. I didn't know, these people are here, and these people are saying, I will give you my time because they care about our community. And
not spend $700,000,
yes.
Not for a forensic account, but for a look-see.
Exactly, for a look-see that they told us was going to be a forensic. Okay, so we've got these people, and I would love to see that these citizen committees get put together and utilize them. Utilize them. One person, 5 board members cannot do this whole job.
Right.
We need good people out there that are willing to give of their time too, and we need to give them the opportunity to prove themselves.
Right.
Help us out.
I think people do when the old saying is, people don't know how much you don't care how much you don't know how much you. Come on now, tell me what it is. Boy, I got a brain seizure there for a minute.
That people don't know.
They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Okay.
Or something along those lines.
Okay.
But anyway, the point I was making with that great statement by Snoopy is actually Zig Ziglar. We'll give him the credit for it. But there's so many people that do want to help, but when they offer their help, they don't get any response.
Exactly.
Not even a yes, no, maybe.
No.
And I give credit to when Tim Dar was the mayor, he formed an ad hoc committee, which I was a member of, for when we were selecting our community development. He called it an economic development committee, and we got together for almost a year and talked about things that we could do, because you're right, the council itself couldn't do it all by themselves.
No.
And there's so many very talented people in the county we don't even know about,
and
they do care. And that's really a great idea. I think we could form some of these committees on very focused areas, because we have a brain power here. But I heard that exact same thing this morning at breakfast. I was talking to some people, and they mentioned the same thing about they'd be glad to help out on these things. I work for the State Department. I work for the CIA. I work for the Secret Service. People that have done up in government, and I'd be more than glad to come and help.
Yep.
My
And I'd
brother-in-law
love to give
told
them
me
the opportunity to do that.
my brother-in-law said he is a forensic accountant, and he said he was reading the Royal Examiner, and he kind of couldn't believe the kind of money that things spent.
Exactly.
And he made a comment about when a government agency gets audited on these they issue a contract. He said what they use. He said, I can tell you what happens. He said the most less experienced, the newest people get put on these jobs. He said if there was a problem, they wouldn't have been able to identify it, because they don't have the experience. And those are the kind of people they stick on these jobs, because rarely is there any problems. It's pretty cut and dry. Going to balance a checkbook. And speaking of our government audits and our EDA audits every year, they go out with flying colors. But I always tell people, I said, look at the fine print says only based on the information given. So if you give them garbage, you get garbage out.
Well, you can use that too on what's given to the people here.
Exactly.
We only know so much, and then and if it's okay, I'll just share this little tidbit. You had published one of my letters of opinion back in, I think it was the end of February, first part of March, and at that time, and I have been misinterpreted by some people that I'm not for education. I am absolutely for education. I just think our spending needs to be kept within our means and what we have and what we can, use during that time period, instead of keeping on tacking on to people, because that is really bringing a lot of people, their families are, have to, as I explained, have to put out more and more and more, and then it's less family too. Anyway, when I put in there that our governor stated all public school teachers were going to get 5% increase. Okay, that's what our paper said, Mr. McCool. That's what Governor Northam said. Didn't he say that? Everybody's going to get 5%. He was going to put it in the budget. Well, then another news release came out about our superintendent asking for a 3% increase here. So when you see two different things, you're in your mind, you're saying, and this is what, again, we're going back to your statement of what's given, okay? What's given to the people. Okay, you got a 5%. Oh, but he's asking for 3%. Well, to me, 5 plus 3 is 8. That's, people are going to get 8%. I dropped my little girls off at the school. They're my little granddaughters. They're not my actual little girls. They're my daughters. But anyway, dropped them off, got confronted by a teacher when I'm in the drop-off lane. I have no problem with that. I love that teacher. I think she's a wonderful person. But she confronted me and said, oh, you need to watch what you say, because you're going to lose a lot of votes towards your candidacy. And I said, well, could you please inform me? Help me to understand. Sure. I am all for knowing what the truth and the reality is. Don't give me little bitty pieces here. Tell me the full truth. Well, she was going to leave, so we spoke quickly that evening, and then she went away for like a week or two. But anyway, she never got back to me, so I contacted somebody on the state level because that bothers me. I don't want to put out information that is incorrect, and I don't want to offend others, okay? So I contact this gentleman on our state level, and I said, sir, can you please? I said, I'm not trying to trap anybody. I'm not trying to get you to quote something to me, you know, just help me to understand. And he said, when we discussed this, he said, yes, 5% is the reality, but there's stipulations for each county. Okay,
Right.
Now see, that's not in our newspaper.
Right.
And our superintendent's not even telling us that. He should be telling us people. Because during these budget hearings, people are being misled and saying, give the teachers this, give the teacher, yeah, we want to give them. Don't get me wrong, but let's get the full understanding, okay? But he said, Warren County's already ahead of the game. You talk about wanting to jump out of my seat. I hadn't heard of Warren County being ahead of the game for I don't know how long, but that was that man's words.
Right.
And he said, I was like, we are ahead of the game? He said, yes, ma'am. He said, you gave 2% last year, which I recalled at last year's in 18-19 budgets that, yes, we did. It was like a $1.2 million increase or something. I said, oh, that's correct. We did give that. Okay, but that wasn't even mentioned this year.
Right.
That came from the citizens, okay? That 2% last year. Now we're coming on around, and this 3% was being asked of us again this year to make that 5%. And that Virginia man at the government level explained that to me, and he said, because you're ahead of the game, you only need to come up with 3% this year. And he said, then the state will reimburse your county up to the SOQ level, which is the standards of quality level. Well, I said, okay, that sounds great. So you know what I'm thinking in my head? Running for this supervisor position, we're going to get that 5% back, Mr. McCool. We should set that in a kitty pot next year because then we got some money that we're going to use because these teachers, this wasn't mentioned in our hearing, all teachers got the 3%. Mr. Ballantyne, he confirmed that with me because I went ahead and contacted him. So, and last year they got the 2. We're going to get that back at 56 point, what did he tell me?
That's just a cost of living adjustment.
Yeah, but hold on though. But I'm trying to explain my of me making that.
Sure.
I misprinted the 8% because
Sure.
I did not understand
Makes
just
sense,
how
but it sounded right.
It sounded right what was given to us.
Right.
So now the understanding is everybody got the 3% this year, but then the 10 to 25 experienced teachers got the step increase. And he had explained that to me that step increase came from Frederick County. So he gave me the chart. I have the chart. So therefore, all teachers with 3%, but the ones in between the 10 and 25 got somewhere between 7 and 13% increase this year. Okay, next year, this is what I'm talking about with keeping in mind that 5% we're going to be reimbursed, okay, at the SOQ level, meaning it's only 50-some percent. It's like 56.67% that we're going to get back, but still it's going to be a big chunk of money.
Sure.
Okay? We can use that next year instead of using our school system again to say we're going to increase taxes. We're going to have that chunk of money in the kitty pot. We should anyway for our next year's teachers because they're going to do this for 3 years in a row. Next year's going to be our 0 to 9
11, or maybe 10 or 11.
He gave it to me. Well, no, because we started at the 10 to 25. So it's going to be the 0 to the 9, I think, next year. Then the third year is going to be our ones that are above 25 years of experience, and they're going to get their step increase on the third year. So I have nothing against that, but when you put it together, you need to, I think our superintendent should have got up and explained that when people are fussing and carrying on, it gets intense in there and saying we need this and we need that and yes, give the teachers this. Well, I don't mind, if it's deserved and give it to them, but give us the true facts of what's truly going on here.
The school system is the largest employer.
Yeah, in this county.
I think they say they have 800 employees.
I know there's 435 teachers.
Yes,
That's what
just
Mr.
teachers.
Ballantyne said.
That's
Yep.
just teachers. Now think about that. And we also think about a big expense is benefits.
Right.
Benefits are being eroded countrywide because of the health insurance cost.
Yeah.
And I heard some scuttlebutt over the weekend about the town and the county, cutting some of the benefits, especially the families and things. And benefits make up a huge chunk.
They sure do.
As an employer, I can tell you benefits
I'm sure.
make up a big.
And we need to treat them good. We need to provide a good package, which I think we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, we do. We have a really good package, but I'm talking about governments in general. But it seems like the ones that really need the most help at the bottom end have the least amount of benefits, and the ones that are making $100,000 a
Get
year
more.
have $20,000 worth of
Exactly.
benefits. So
It needs to be evened out. Yeah.
It needs to be considered.
Yes.
But again, that's part of the negotiation and how
Yeah.
you do things. But it's a big expense, and health
It
insurance.
is.
The people that get up, they may not. They're 20 or 25 or 30 years old. Wait till you're 50 to 60 years old and you
That's-
see what that insurance
Yes.
costs. Because I can tell you, I know what mine cost. It was
Yeah.
expensive, and you have a large deductible on top of it. Thank
Well,
goodness
it's
I'm
because
on.
of the
Now
health.
I'm on Medicare. That's even But hey, but still, then you talked
Yeah.
about the teacher raise. That's all still coming out of tax money.
It is.
And so yes, we might get a 3% or a 5% or whatever it is, but you're still paying that in your taxes. It's just coming
You
into
are.
your state taxes.
And I
So
don't
it's not.
think
So it's not like just their money, our money. It's
exactly.
It's all our
of
money.
ours. It's a community. That's where I want to get people to start thinking more of us as a whole, not in like little groups of people.
Well, right now,
Different groups.
the school board is the budget. I mean, that's a big chunk.
It's our big, yes.
It's our big part of the budgets. It's like the old, the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah.
And so you wonder, and that's something that needs to be, some communities or some states, and I'm not sure about Virginia, but I do know, we do have elected school board members, but in some states they have taxing authority in the school board, and it's separate from the thing. So you really see your tax, what the school
What it's
board is
actually
taxing
doing.
you,
Yes.
because it's a separate line item, so to
Yeah.
speak. And no, most people don't even really see what the budget. They don't see budget numbers. They don't even really care about it. Just, well, I got a $200 tax bill, and they pay it and move on. But,
200. Oh, yeah.
yeah, but I tell people our taxes are really low and our utilities are really low here. But when you grow up here, you don't see that. But if you live somewhere else and you come here,
That's what my boss tells me too. He came from New York, and I tell him, I say, okay, but you're here now. And I said the salaries paid here too don't even compare
Exactly.
in those areas. So you have to kind of weigh it all out. And just because I grew up here, does it mean I'm against, us expanding or anything? It has nothing to do with that. I just feel like 6 consecutive years is a little bit off the charts.
Yeah.
Somebody should have this budget more intact.
Well, show us what you did with it.
Exactly. Just let me know. And like you said with the schools, I think that's a wonderful idea to let it be shown to the people. Then we would feel much better. We would feel, yes, we've accomplished something together. Building our schools up, building our teachers up.
Well, when I first, years ago, back in the 80s, and I hired a person to come here, and they came up from Fairfax to work, and they commuted from Fairfax to here, and they ended up moving here, and he had school-age children, but they ended up moving to Winchester to live, and he commuted down here from Winchester, and it was based on the school systems, because he didn't feel that the schools really were up at the level where he wanted his kids to be, and there was some, you can explain that, but I think we fixed that problem. I mean, all our schools, we do have one school with a conditional accreditation, but all our schools are accredited.
Right.
We have beautiful facilities.
Yep.
We just talk about, we do have a lot of people that leave. Again, they leave for various reasons.
Right.
And I don't really think, my personal opinion, and you can chime in on this, is people don't normally leave a job for pay. They justify their leaving by pay, I think, a lot of times. But I think the real reason, because you took the job, you knew what the pay was. And so to turn around a year later and say, well, if you get another offer, you justify it. And my son-in-law left Warren County, went to Prince William County as a teacher for what he thought was a pay increase. And it was primarily for him, it was benefits. That's where he seen the big increase. But I tried to explain to him on paper, when he added up all his commuting cost and his time away and all the things it really cost him, he said, you really didn't net that much money. Mm-hmm. And you eliminated all this family time. But, that's where he was in the step. Some people are better,
Right.
some people are good. But,
And I think each person has to just discern that themselves. Just like if they want to commute for jobs.
I know people commute
You
for
have to
30
do that.
years. I mean, I
Well,
won't do it, but
I know. I did, when I got out of school, I commuted 7 years in a row. And I'm telling you, it was horrendous, even at that time. And I
when you
graduated
were
in
young.
'88. Yeah, I was young. And oh, my goodness. 66 was terrible getting all the way into Fairfax. It was
Right.
just terrible. And I used to tell my mom when I was growing up, I'd say, Mom, I said, I'm going to D.C. because I'm going to make a lot of money. Because that was what people were
Sure,
doing. As
sure.
I was a kid here, that's where people went for jobs, other than Avtex.
right. If
They
you didn't want to
had
work
that.
at Avtex, right.
No, I said, I'm going to D.C. I'm going to make a lot of money. Well, I never made it to D.C. Fairfax was as far, but that
You say,
was...
that's as far as I'm not going. I'm not going
that
a
was
mile
as far.
farther.
But then it was a choice that I had to make, and it really involved my personal feelings for my family. I used to commute. Being pregnant, I would commute by myself that whole distance. And my second child, I said, okay, I'm not going to be putting 2 babies into a daycare at 6 a.m. in the morning. That tore my heart out to put my little girl in there. She was my guinea pig, my first. And for her
By the time
to
the second
cry-
one comes along,
Yeah.
you're a free range parent.
Well,
there, right?
I was a free range bear. Yeah, he came along, and I tell you what, I said, yeah, I'm making good money. This was 94. I'm making good money. But you know what? I have to be there for my kids. And I, at that point, made a decision to open up a home business in my home. And it was actually, I was licensed, and I watched other people's children. To supplement the income, didn't match what I was bringing back from
Sure.
Fairfax, but you know what? I had to bring down in my budget and adjust, but what was more important to me? Was it that I put those kids in that daycare at 6 a.m. and get home at 6 p.m. and have 2 hours with them before I put them to bed? I
Sure.
had to make that personal choice, and I think everybody has to choose that. Some people, they can't because maybe they don't have the family support, that they still have to go down there. It's everybody's own personal choices that they have to do and what's best for them.
Well, it sounds like you have some ideas and you have a heart for the county.
I
And I
absolutely
think
do,
you
yes.
love it. And like you said, you got 2 other candidates running, and maybe we have the cutoff is coming up here in a few days.
Yep.
There may be a few more people announcing for South River. I hear rumors, but you believe it when you see the paperwork done and
Right.
finished out. So, or I see some new signs go up. You know what I mean? But you're a little early on the signs. But the race will start as you get closer and closer to that date, and it'll start kicking in, and then the work starts. But I appreciate everyone that runs, and I
Yes.
think anyone we have running and they can make it through the race, should be able to do a good job. But like you said, your heart seems to be in the right place. And you'll be having some meet and greets over the summer. I'm sure
I'm
that
hoping to, yes.
people can come and
Yes.
visit you and see you and get your
And I
opinion
want
on
to get
things.
out there to them, too.
That's right. It's a little hard. You got to get that ATV up and down them mountain roads.
It is.
Put your hiking boots on. Well,
Yeah.
Leslie, I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to? We've talked about everything
Pretty much,
except
yeah.
the election. So, but I think part of it is getting people just to know you as a person.
Yeah.
That's part of
And
what
to
these
know where I
interviews are about.
stand. Yes, yeah.
And I,
Well,
You
I
want-
just want to leave it out there that I do have a Facebook up. I think I've had it running for a week now.
Okay.
And if anyone wants to check me out on the Facebook page, it is Leslie Mathews for South River. I encourage anyone to go on there, check me out. leave
message
me,
you,
yeah,
make your friend request.
Yes, send me suggestions, send me comments, contact me if you need to. And also, just so others understand, campaigns do cost money. They do cost. I am very conservative, and I'm trying to keep the cost as low as I can. So if there's any businesses that are interested or individuals that are interested in me, they like what
She's
I
asking
stand
for support.
Yes, I'm putting it out there. I would appreciate any support that anyone could give me, whether it's word of mouth or
Sure.
monetary.
Sometimes both
are needed during this time, and I just want the people of Warren County to know that I pledge that I will do my very best and to uphold what's just and right for all citizens here in this
Great.
county.
Well, we're hoping that after the June 11th date, we'll get your two opponents in, and maybe all three of us or four of us then could get together and we can talk about some of the issues and get everyone's opinion on what's going on. Are you game for that?
I would be fine.
That'd
Yes.
be great.
Yep.
Well, again, thanks again. I appreciate it, Leslie. Thank you so much. Mike McCool here, signing off, and we'll get back here after June 11th with some of our candidates, and we'll see exactly what's happening in the South River District.